Hey everybody, this is Kevin from Gameology. I'm at home today. I've been spending the whole day reading our advanced copy of the Age of Sigmar General's Handbook. I just want to kind of go over a few things. I'm going to review it, give you my general impression, and go through a lot of what has changed for this book. This isn't going to be our typical video. I'm just kind of doing this from home because I spent all day reading. So if I look like I'm half asleep, it's because I've been reading a few hundred pages of what has changed, and of course looking at a few other things that have been posted, what's going on through here. Overall, I think the book is very good. It's a very good upgrade for the system. What we're going to see in this system is competitive play, tournament level play. We're going to see casual play will be very similar to the way it was for people who enjoyed that. And one of the things that me and a few of my friends are looking forward to doing in our group is the narrative play, which is going to be storyline events and other things like that. So as we go through it, we'll talk a lot about those. I'm going to go heavily into the meat and potatoes of it. I'm not going to get heavy into a lot of the story in here to keep this review under a half an hour, hopefully. And then if I have a little bit more time, maybe I'll go into what the different types of campaigns are. But the first things first is points. Every unit in the game got points. A few people are going to get confused when they first look at the charts. What they're going to see is there's a minimum for a unit and a maximum, and then there's only one set of points. So if there's 5 guys for 100 points, and then it's a minimum 5, maximum 30, you don't get 30 guys for 100 points. Every 5 guys is going to be 100. It says you buy in increments of 5. What I think is going to happen for tournament play, and most people are going to house rule, and they do very heavily talk about what you want to do with house rules. So what we'll see with the house rules is it'll modify what you do. So at 5 guys for 100 points, 20 points per model, which is what we're used to old systems, used to for 40K. So if I want 6 models, it'll be 120 points, no big deal. They do bring back battlefield roles. They do bring back force organization charts. They do discuss how battalions work, kind of like formations in 40K. I'm going to compare a lot to 40K today. Most people will understand the references that I make here. If you don't, feel free to post in the comments, and I'll do my very best to respond to you. For some reason, if it's not very clear. You're going to get a simple force org chart in the book, which is based on your points, which strangely they mentioned 3 different types: 1,000, 2,000, and 2,500. Obviously, play whatever you want. It prorates down a pretty good amount. So they have in the leader slot at 2,000 points, you get like 1 to 6 leaders. There's a certain number of behemoths, like your dragons, your war machines. You have battle line, which is like your core units, and then you have other, which is like the special units from 8th, 7th, 6th edition and other things like that. Same rules as before. If a model takes up more than 1 slot, so for instance a lord on a dragon would take up a behemoth and a leader slot, it still takes up 2. Back in the past, like a lord on a dragon, like a high elf lord on a dragon, took over a lord slot and a rare slot. It's going to be the same thing here. As far as that's concerned. So as far as the balancing in the past, where a lot of people bounce via wounds, we don't have to worry about that anymore. It goes back to the points. Have I sat down and nuked out every unit to see if it's balanced? No. What I want to do is go play several games to see what is new. Another thing that a lot of concerns came up was summoning. Summoning has heavily been changed. Now the spells themselves work, and we'll get into how spell casting has changed a little bit with the rule of 1s, the 3 rules of 1. With spell casting and summoning, you can still summon a unit, but it's not a new unit brought onto the board. What you do is when you start your army, when you design, let's say you and I are going to play a 2,000 point game. You're going to say, hey, you know what? I am going to leave 600 points as reserve points. So I'm only going to put 1,400 points on the board, meaning I can summon 600 points anywhere else. Now, I don't believe, maybe I missed it or wasn't there, is I don't have to define what my reserves are. So if I have the summon ... spell, I can summon whatever I need up to that point. So if I want to summon a unit, let's say I have 600 points left, I cannot go ahead and summon 700 points. I can only summon 600. But I don't have to do that in one chunk. So let's say I'm playing demons, and let's say I summon bloodletters. I bring some bloodletters on the board, maybe that's 150 points. I've still got 450 left in my reserve later on. Is this good? Well, I mean, it's basically handing units deep strike. So that can be pretty good. I can put stuff out on the board in different places, maybe strategically because of the missions and the pitch, what they call the pitch battles, which is the competitive one. That's going to be very, very important. As we look at that, that's probably going to be the most played format. But as we look at what these different battles are going to do and the summoning is going to do, it can give you opportunities to move things around. I know a lot of people go, why would I not put my whole army on the board? I'm just asking to get slaughtered. It's like, well, when you're looking at different areas you want to control tactically on the board, being able to drop things across the board is very good. Then another piece that was changed was the 3 rules of 1. This is very interesting if you look at it from the way Age of Sigmar was played in the previous rendition for the last year. The first rule of 1 is a spell can only be attempted 1 time per army. So you can't spam Arcane Shield, which was used a lot. So let me get +1, +1, +1, +1 across the board. And also now if you fail the spell, somebody else can't cast it. So this is going to cause some diversity in the wizards you play. This may reduce the amount of magic that you choose to use, but it's going to not necessarily make people just, I just used wizards just to cast Arcane Shield. Well, there was a lot of other spells that were unique to different types of wizards on War Scrolls, so maybe you would want to do just a couple of different types of wizards, or just one to get, okay, let me put Arcane Shield on my one main unit. And I'm not going to say, oh my gosh, this is terrible, until I play several games and try it. The second rule of 1 is one that just kind of made sense, and a lot of people house ruled it, is you always fail on a 1. If I'm making a save, if I'm rolling to hit, I'm rolling to wound. No matter what 8 million bonuses I have stacked on for whatever reason, I still fail on a 1. Common sense, but there were some ways the bonus to where, hey, I hit on a 1, I wound on a 1, so there's no point in rolling. Now you have to. That's the way it was in previous editions of Warhammer Fantasy. That's the way it's been in 40K. So that's a pretty fair rule. The third one is you only get 1 additional attack. If something says, if this hits, it generates another attack, it does not allow you to go infinite. So all the infinite loops are gone. So people, if you don't, I think Ripperdactyls had one, the Bone Giant had one, where if it hits, it gets another attack. If it gets that second additional attack, it will not generate more attacks. That's pretty simple for the 3 rules of 1. I think they're all fairly balanced. The spellcasting one I want to test, the other 2 seem perfectly fine. As far as pitched battles, this is the competitive ones with the points. There are 6 missions. 5 of them seem pretty well even. There's objective points certain places on the board. You have to capture them. Some of them say, if I control it, I get certain victory points, and if I hit a certain victory point cap, the game ends. So you can end the game pretty quickly. Others say just however many I have at the end of the game, at the end of X number of rounds, is how many victory points or whoever wins the game. There's one Gift of the Heavens, which is the 6th one. This one I think some tournament players are going to have some issues with. What happens is we each get half of the field, which is my half, and then your half. That gets broken into 3 parts, so you essentially have the 6 2-foot by 2-foot on your board. What will happen is we're going to have kind of a capture the flag or control the 2 victory points. However, they're comments that are going to come down. One's going to show up on your side, one's going to show up on mine in turn 2, but I don't know where. It's going to be in one of those 2x2s on mine, one of them on yours. So a lot of people go, that's not fair, that I could lose the randomness because maybe mine lands all the way over on the right and you run a cavalry unit over and grab it, and yours is right in the middle, so I have to smash through your line to get it. I can't do that, or if you took flying or whatever. It may affect, if that's going to end up seeing a lot of tournament play, or just a 1 in 6, you might just see people packing flying units in their army just for that mission. But just like anything else, you have to play to the mission. You can't just play destroy the enemy. Granted, if you wipe out the enemy by the end of the game, that is the end, you win, no problem, but you want to be able to play to the objectives as well. So the next piece I want to talk about is the ladder campaign. This is a pretty simple, fun way to kind of do a King of the Hill style event. It again does use the pitched rules, which is the point system. So what you can do with this is kind of rack and stack your players in your group, or you can do initial standing, like let's say I'm the most experienced player, so I'd be number 1, somebody else has played a lot, number 2, then 3, then new players would kind of pile in, or you can just do the order in which people sign up. The point is for people to challenge their way as they step up the ladder. So let's say we have 6 friends are going to get together and we're going to do a step ladder, and we're going to play for 3 months. We're going to play once or twice a week, or maybe a shorter period. We're going to get so many games to where it is, and whoever, we'll all throw in $5-10, whoever at the end of it wins. Whatever, or if a store is going to run an event, people can buy in and get prizes at the end. But the point of the ladder campaign is I'm just going to, hey, I'll challenge, I'm ranked number 6, I'm going to challenge number 5, we're going to play. This is my game this week. If I beat him, I move up to number 5, he bumps down to number 6, and then I'll have a chance to challenge up to number 4, while that person's challenging up to number 3 and then defending the title, and it has some pretty simple rules for how to move up the ladder. It can make it pretty interesting. A couple suggestions obviously would be, you start with an army, you stay with that army, maybe you can change your list or not list tailor based on who your opponent is. Maybe it's just one fixed list. If you have a lot of experienced players, this is your fixed list at 2,000 points, whatever you're going to be playing at. That can be fun, or you can maybe escalate it. The first couple of weeks you're at 1,000 points, then 2,000, then 2,500 to make it pretty epic for the last couple of battles. So the next thing for us to talk about is there's a great section on multiplayer play. This is an opportunity for several of us to get together and have a game. There's some really cool battle plans that's very good that are out there. Some of them are like a free-for-all. We're all on different corners trying to get to the center. There's some King of the Hill ones. There's definitely some very interesting ways to play with a larger group. Obviously, you can escalate this into what would be an apocalypse-style game in 40K, but it can also be a really fun way of playing just several different people. Also, there's some of the battle plans in there that seem like they'd be really good for teaching new players. The other piece that I want to really talk about is also open play. This is kind of what we're already used to, what's already out there, which is that I don't really care about points, I just want to throw out my units, you want to throw out yours. There's 2 really good uses for this. First is what I already mentioned a little bit, is if I have a couple of brand new players or a brand new player, I don't want to overcomplicate them with points, I don't want to overcomplicate them, I just want to teach them the rules. How do I move, how do I roll to hit, how do I cast spells, how do I roll to wound, what's my saves, what's some synergy and some cool things about some different units. Let's look at some models, pick an army, and how do you decide what it is you want to do. So open play can be really good for teaching a new player. It can also be really good for the players who just have collected a lot of stuff, or we have old armies that now falls into 2 or 3 different types of armies, and I want to really kind of get my stuff together and play and compete, but I don't really want to be bound by a formation or anything else. Strangely, this would be similar to something that 40K players would call Unbound. Unbound is a played format for the game, not as popular as obviously structured points with everything else that's out there. But what you can do is you can play a truly unbound list, or it's just, let's say I have this one battalion that maybe won't fit the new force organization chart in a pitched battle, but I've got this battalion from the book that I bought, this is Battle Tome, and I've got the models, they're painted up, I want to play that. You can do an open play game with that too. It's just talk to your friends and say, hey, this is what we kind of do. There's a lot of room for negotiation. It could be, hey, let's do open play because I'm going to play the battalion, but let's stay within 100 points of each other. I'm about 900 points. If you're at 950, no big deal. Let's just go play and have some fun. That can be a very good way to play the game, and it can be a lot of fun, and it just opens up for your army creation. Obviously, tournament structures are not going to be structured that way, but what you're doing with your friends when you're just hanging out on a Saturday, having a fun game, is really up to you. Okay, so the last piece to really go over is what they call narrative or campaign style play. There's a few different ways you can do it. One of the really cool things is you can play several of the battles for the past, ones that are actually in the Realm Gate Wars stories. One of them that I found was really, really exciting just to read the fiction on, and was a lot of fun, was Archaon versus Nagash, with the death of Nagash in that battle. But you can actually recreate that battle. They have what was on Archaon's side, what was on Nagash's side, and some of the storyline mechanics that went with that. They also have something that some groups of friends of mine are really excited to play, which is the actual campaigns. You can play an ongoing campaign. Your war bands get extra abilities, you draw extra followers, you can bring in extra units based on there, you'll get some random cool things to your heroes that are in there. It can be really fun based on it using the as you escalate through it. If I win, I get something. If I lose, I get something. This is really what happens. So it can make it really fun to truly specialize your army and give some flair to the game. So if you're enjoying something that is an ever-changing style game, if you've ever played any of the legacy board games like Risk Legacy, Pandemic Legacy, think of this as Age of Sigmar Legacy. I'm able to do a campaign as it grows, and we can have a lot of fun while doing that. It's very similar also to Necromunda, if anybody remembers that old game, where you had the gang, you would go through a mission against another player, basically a game. Whether I won or lose, I got something for it, and I was able to either get more money, take more territories, or recruit new gang members. Some gang members got extra skills. Think of it in the similar way as that if you have experience with it. Which, oh, by the way, Necromunda is what got me into Warhammer 20 years ago. I was playing, somebody introduced me to Necromunda. I saw the larger scale game of Warhammer 40,000, got into that. Saw the fantasy side, got into that, and here I am 20 years later on YouTube talking about how the game has changed over 2 decades. I think that with the campaign style play, you'll have a lot of fun micro campaigns, or maybe just some pitched battles between you and 1 or 2 friends where you go through a few different things. You don't necessarily have to do anything on an epic scale, but if you want to recreate the epic battles, they are there. This can be a lot of interaction within certain social groups. I would love to see and get rules going. That is something that I've told people I work on now that I have my hands on the book, is how do we do a large-scale league? Do we start off using pitched battle points, and then you get to add stuff on each time, and then you get bonus points based on what you've had, what types of characters you've recruited, or is it strictly this is what you get? I want to play a few games first before I make a decision on what types of leagues that we're going to do at the store. Obviously, you and your friends choose to do something on their own, or other shops, feel free to come up there. I've posted our league rules in the past for other people to see. So once I come up with what I feel is a balanced set of league rules here, we will post them. We'll probably be running a league at Gameology later on in the year with an escalation style, so that people can get into the game, build armies, and really dig into it and enjoy it. I do hope you enjoyed this video review. I hope it wasn't too long. I hope I didn't ramble. I do hope that I got some good meat and potatoes in there for you to really understand the game. I would say that there's really going to be 3 different types of people who are watching this video. The people who were all in already, ready to go play Age of Sigmar. I really hope that I gave you some good information and got you more excited about the game. Hopefully you live close to where I do, and we'll have to sit down and just have a game together and see how we enjoy it. Play a couple of different sessions and a couple of different armies and have some fun. The people who were on the fence, hopefully you're not still on the fence. I gave you the material you need to make a decision, but what I do is I highly recommend is just go play a game. That's really the best thing you can ever do, is just sit down and play it. You know, I don't know if I'm going to like it, they've got this or that. Play the game. After 1 or 2 games, make your decision then. If you're still not decided, if you already own the models, well, just keep playing with what you have. You don't necessarily have to go build a new army just yet. If you've decided, hey, I want to try a little bit of this, a little bit of that, go for it. Go ahead and do it. And the third type are the naysayers, the people that were going to be negative about it no matter what came out. Really, I don't know why you spent 30 minutes watching this video, or however long it ends up coming out to in the end. If you're a fan of another game, go be a fan of another game. Enjoy that. You don't need to trash on somebody else's hobby. I think that's a waste of your time and other people's. You know, I personally, I'm pretty excited about it. I'm going to try and play it. I've already got several armies that I've had for fantasy. Why not keep playing it? So I know other people have jumped into other games such as Kings of War and other things like that. I haven't had a chance to play Kings of War. I can't talk about it. I've read the rules. It seems interesting. but I'm not going to tell you whether I think it's a great game or a bad game until I've actually sat down and played a game or two, which is what I would hope anybody else would do there. Obviously, if there are any questions that people have, you can always message us on Facebook. We have our Facebook page. We usually respond within a couple hours. We do have our subgroup of Gameology War Games. If you want to schedule a game, even if you're visiting California, we're always open. You can come by and pay us a visit. And then finally, anybody looking to make purchases from us as a store, if you mention the video when you message us, it'll be free shipping anywhere in the U.S., as well as additional discounts. We'll price everything out based on what you wanted to order and get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you very much for watching this video. I would really appreciate any comments you have, especially if they're constructive, anything that you felt that I missed, anything you would like me to elaborate on. That would be great. Again, I try to respond as quickly as possible as I can, and then you just leave the comments below or just message us directly. Thank you, and I hope you all have a great time gaming.